Okay, so welcome to week 15. This is for Key Stage 3 only, so if you are year 9 and above, you should be watching another video. We're going to be looking at speed, distance, time. I'm going to try and keep this video quite short, because with the coming weeks now in school, you're going to have a lot more work from other subjects in video format. So I'm going to trial today. We're going to forego the starter, and we're going to try and keep this video under 10 minutes, so I'm going to stop talking now. What we would like, though, is some feedback on whether you like the starter and whether you like the review questions when we press pause, because we're going to have none of that today. It's literally, I'm going to be showing you some stuff and then you're going to be given a task. So, speed, distance, time. We all know what speed is, really, in a roundabout sense, but in the terms of a subject like physics, it is the distance travelled in a unit time. So, when you're walking, you're going to cover a distance. The time it takes you to cover that distance is going to be your speed. So they're very much linked up. Speed, distance, time. You've got distance divided by time there. We've got a little triangle here, a formula triangle that we use a lot in physics. And this is just your distance on top. Okay? Really, that should be little d. I would prefer, in science, if we use that as little d, and that should be little t, lowercase t, but it's the same applies. You've got distance, and then you've got time at the bottom, and you've got speed at the bottom there. And I'll show you how to use one of these triangles in just a second. One more thing I just want to point out is this meters per second. Speed is measured in meters per second in physics. It's very rare that we go into kilometers per hour, okay? But a kilometer is just 1,000 meters anyway, and an hour is just so many seconds, so 60 times 60. Okay, you get 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour. Miles per hour we stay away from, because that is just a unit they use in the UK for measuring the speed of cars. So you're never going to be given an answer of miles per hour for speed. It's always meters per second. Okay, so I'm just going to highlight that meters per second there. So straight off with an example then. And this is the typical question. If a car travels 24 meters in 2 seconds, what is its speed? So I'm going to use this triangle to work this out now. So I've got distance, speed, time. I've got 24 meters and I've got 2 seconds. So I'm just going to write that down. This is how I'd like you to lay this out now. This is sort of a fail-proof method of writing everything. So I've got my distance, I've got my speed, and I've got my time. That's my three quantities in this case. Do I know my distance? Yes, it is 24 meters. How do I know it's 24? Because distance measured in meters. Okay, so you're always looking for that meter. So my distance is 24 meters. Do I know my speed? No, it's asking for speed, so I don't know my speed yet. So I'm going to put a question mark there. But I do know how many seconds, and that is, the time is 2 seconds there. So I've got a distance of 24, speed of, I don't know, a time of 2 seconds. Now I'm going to use my formula triangle to see what equation I need, because there's 3 equations really. Now I'm looking for speed. That is my unknown, so I'm going to actually put my finger, I know it's a mouse in this case, but I'm going to cover S. So S, so I'm going to cover S equals something. Now in this case, can you see the distance is on top, sorry, of time here. Okay, distance is over time, it's on top of time. Okay, it's not next to it, it's on top of it. So it's going to be distance, and I'm going to do lowercase here because this is what we're used to. I know it's capital D there. Over lowercase t. Simply because D is on top of T there. Alright? So I've got my formula now. So S equals D over T. Now it's just a case of replacing my letters for values. So I'm going to write this out. S equals, what's my D value? Well, you can see over here, D is worth 24. 24 over, and that's divided by t equals 2. So t equals 2. I've got 2 on the bottom. So this is going to equal, how many times does 2 go into 24? It's 12. So 24, if you typed into your calculator 24, so it would look like this, 24 divided by 2, that's what that looks like. That's when you're going to get the answer. Okay, and it's 12. And the units then are meters per second, because it's a speed. So we're looking at meters per second. There's a bit of a delay there from my laptop to my iPad, but still, we're looking good for the under 10 minutes mark here. I'm going to move on to my next example now. It says there, find the distance travelled by a runner moving at 9 meters per second for 4 seconds. So exactly the same as last time now. My distance, speed, time. What are these worth? What is my distance? Well, the question says find the distance, so I don't know. I put a little question mark there. That's going to be the letter I'm going to cover in my next triangle equation. Find the distance travelled by a runner moving at 9 meters per second. Well, 9 meters per second is your speed. So meters per second. So my speed is 9 meters per second. And he's moving for 4 seconds. The time it takes him is 4 because you've got seconds. So seconds time, meters per second, speed, meters, distance. Okay. Now I go over to my triangle. I'm looking for distance this time. So I'm going to actually put my finger, or my mouse in this case, over D. So D equals something. Well, you can see now S is right next to T. And that means it's times by. So if there's letters next to each other, they're times by. So this is D equals S times T, because they're next to each other. You could almost put a cross in the middle there, because they're tied up to each other. Now we just replace the values. Oops. It's really delayed today from my iPad to my screen. So D now equals, well, S value is 9 times my T value is 4. Okay, so D now equals, well, 9 times 4 is 36. What's my unit for distance? It's meters. So 36 meters in this case. I'm going to do one more example before we do your assignment. And this example looks like this. Find the time, in this case, taken to cover 256 meters at 8 meters per second. So, distance, speed, time. Okay, and this is how I'd like to see it laid out every time, even in your assignment. Let's pick out what we know. Do we know our distance? Yes, we do. It's right there, 256, because it's meters. Do we know our speed? Yes, we do, because it's meters per second, and that is 8. Do we know our time? No, we don't. We don't know our time, question mark. I'm going to put my finger now, so I'm looking for time is going to equal something. Let's go to my formula triangle. I'm going to put my finger over time. So let's cover T up. You can see now that D is on top of S. So it's going to be D over S. It's on top of it. It's not next to it. It's on top of it. It's going to be D over S. And I totally get the fact that these are capital letters here and I'm doing lowercase letters, because we tend to deal with lowercase letters. I got this from BBC Bitesize, and I know in maths as well they use capital D, capital T. So, but you'll find, especially when you get to exams, that it's all lowercase in the front of your books. So let's replace these letters. So D is going to equal 256. So T now equals 256 over, divided by, my S value is 8. Okay, and this and you probably have to, well, you will have to use a calculator for this. This comes out to, when you do 256 divided by 8, and you type it in like that into the calculator, it comes out to 2325. What's my unit? Because it's time, it's in seconds, okay? It's not going to be minutes, it's not going to be hours, it's not going to be days. It's always one of the smallest units. So you've got meters, seconds, then meters per second. And I don't want you to drift away from that. Even though, when I show you the assignment now, there's a little bit of converting, okay? So hopefully you've got this. If you're still not sure, go back and watch my examples. I've done 3 examples using the triangle every way. So we've got a formula to make D the subject, to make S the subject, and to make T the subject. So here's your assignment. We're only going to submit the assignment questions now. Obviously, there's no starting questions. There's no review questions. So you're going to pick either level 1 or level 2. So you're going to pick one. There's 2 levels. And you clearly state which one you're completing. Otherwise, it's hard for the teacher to know which one you're doing. So here's the question. So level 1, if you're going to pick level 1, question 1, 2, 3 there, and make sure you state that you're doing level 1. Now these questions are very, very similar to the examples I've just been through. Level 2 there, and if you can see that, it says all answers must be in meters, seconds, and meters per second, okay? Because it's a level 2 because we're starting to deal with kilometers here. Now remember I said there's 1,000 kilometers, there's 1,000 meters, in a kilometer. We're dealing with 23 minutes here. I need to get that to seconds. Remember, there is 60 seconds in 1 minute. Okay, so you can see through here, there's a fair bit of converting, especially question 3. You may have to do 2 equations to get to the answer. That's why it's level 2. Okay, so please push yourself. If you're finding what I'd recommend is you start on level 1, and if you're just thinking this is too easy, push yourself to level 2 is very important. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Hope you're all well and safe, and please give some feedback to these shorter lessons. Maybe you preferred the longer lessons because there was a bit more substance there. Maybe you just prefer the practice, and we can talk about this then when we do get back to school. Look forward to seeing you all next week, and until then, keep safe.